All right, everybody. Good morning. Hope you guys are ready for the last stand. And I know I've referred to at least one other game this year as the last stand, but I think this really is the last stand. Not because the Seahawks have to win this game to stay alive. In fact, I would go so far as to say they have a very good chance of losing this game, winning their next three games, and then getting in. But this is the last stand in terms of getting people hyped on this team at all. And what I mean by that is if the Seahawks back into the playoffs at a 9-8 record, which again has a real chance of happening, that's not going to get anybody out of their seat. That's not going to get anybody back on the wagon. If you're checked out now, you're going to be checked out in a month if we're 9-8, backing into the playoffs, beating a bunch of bad teams, which is the scenario that I described, or at the very least, not good teams. So this is the last stand in terms of controlling your own destiny, because the Seahawks more or less do at this point. But it's also the last stand in terms of actually making this season successful. Because if you back into the playoffs at 9-8 with 3 wins to close out the season, you are going to have to work so hard to get people back on. Like, at that point, I don't even know if a playoff win would get people back on the wagon. People would just say that's a fluke. But if you can hold serve tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles at home, then even the haters are going to have to back off. Even the really negative, really pessimistic people will have to back off for a little bit because, wow, you just beat the reigning NFC champions who are currently sitting at 10-3. And I know Philly has their own problems going into this game, but really, if Seattle finds a way to win tonight, for at least a little bit, at least a few weeks, we're going to have to back off and concede that, hey, this team proved they're not quitting. This team proved they are listening to their coach, because we are not going to win tonight with a team that is discombobulated. We are not going to win with a team that is checked out, just trying to get their coach fired, not listening to their coach, just waiting for the offseason to get here. I can at least say that. If this team wins tonight, then we can at least say that things are not as bad as some have indicated. So there are some real stakes on the line tonight that will not be up anytime soon. So, first of all, talking about this game, the big subplot. And I haven't made a video about this yet, but yesterday it became clear that Jalen Hurts, the Eagles' star quarterback, is dealing with something. He's sick, he's not feeling well, and initially it was just thought to be something that he was going to have to work through and it would be a minor inconvenience. Yesterday, he was downgraded to questionable. He's going to be traveling separate from the team. He's quarantining from the rest of the team. And there is genuine concern that he is not going to play tonight. So if you don't get Jalen Hurts, you're going to get Marcus Mariota, a career backup outside of the first few years of his career when they were finding out that he was a career backup. That would obviously change things a lot, but would it actually change things in terms of the end result? So here's how I see it. I have a very, very, very hard time believing that Jalen Hurts is going to miss this game because he's sick. I have a very hard time believing that Jalen Hurts is going to be held out of this game because he doesn't feel good. So I expect Jalen Hurts to be out there for the Eagles tonight. Now, the question is, will he be able to play well? That's different. We saw this with Pat Mahomes a month plus ago against the Broncos when the Chiefs lost that game. Mahomes was awful, and he tried to play through a sickness, and it did not work at all. So that is definitely in play. A scenario where Hurts plays, but plays really poorly and gives us every opportunity to go win the game. And maybe he even starts the game but doesn't finish the game. Maybe Mariota gets in there. And I got to be honest, my faith in this defense right now, this Seahawks defense, is so low, so thin, that I would not expect us to be able to handle the Eagles with Marcus Mariota that well. I just wouldn't. I would definitely look at that as a scenario where, well, who cares that it's the backup quarterback? He's good enough to take advantage of our terrible defense because I've seen backup quarterbacks take advantage of our terrible defense many, many times. And this is the worst Seahawks defense since Pete Carroll got here. This is one of the worst defenses of my lifetime in Seattle. So we definitely have to acknowledge that that's not going to be the make or break thing in this game. If they keep Jalen Hurts in the like I might actually prefer Jalen Hurts to play than Marcus Mariota because there exists this possibility that Jalen Hurts plays really badly, a la Mahomes against the Broncos about a month and a half ago, and that possibility doesn't really exist for Mariota. And I could definitely see Mariota slicing us up. So that's my take on the whole Jalen Hurts situation. So predicting what this defense is going to do tonight kind of depends on that to me. If Hurts is good to go, I don't I don't see how we stop him. I will say this, even if he's not sick, I think his knee is messed up and he's not got mobility. He can't run around the way he usually does. He can't buy time. He can't make plays with his legs like he usually does. And if all those things are true, that takes away his dual threat ability, and that's definitely something that can have a very negative effect on him. And it's also something that I don't think we handle very well as a team that is taken away from him. But they still have excellent receivers, and our corners are not really playing in such a way that they match up well with that. Also, we probably don't have Devin Witherspoon. They still have an excellent offensive line, although, again, well, actually, the other way, Cam Jurgens is not playing, and Cam Jurgens is a big part of their rushing attack. So I do look at that and I go, okay, maybe they won't be able to run the ball as dominantly as they usually do. But then I look at our run defense lately and I think it doesn't matter. We can't stop the run no matter what. So I do think that there is some stuff going on in this game that plays to our advantage. I just wish I was more convinced that our defense could take advantage. Like, I'm literally sitting here thinking to myself, our best bet is that they force Jalen Hurts to play, or Jalen Hurts forces himself to play, and he can't be effective. And they keep him out there the whole game because most coaches do that. They don't have a quick hook for their starting quarterback, even under extreme circumstances. Like, I don't think the Chiefs ever benched Mahomes when they played the Broncos in that game a month and a half ago. So, in terms of the defense actually earning anything, really hard to see it. They should have no problem getting open against our secondary, even without Cam Jurgens. I think they'll be able to run the ball. Like, you put all these things together, and I just have to be honest. I have no confidence that this defense is going to be able to get it done because they've been that bad lately. They're playing their worst football of the year, and they've been bad for most of the season. So hopefully we get some pass rush because that's really the only hope. But it's really hard to get pass rush on that Eagles front. Cam Jurgens more of a run blocker than anything, I think. And with no Witherspoon, I don't see how it happens. I really, really don't. Teams, you can see these offenses really starting to learn how to take advantage of how slow Bobby Wagner is now, how he can't really cover. Early in the season, we were getting away with it. Now, less so. And I'm sure Philadelphia is a team that's going to be able to do that, especially if they have to play with their backup quarterback. So, putting it all together, I don't trust this defense. I'm just hoping Philly kind of hands us the game because I don't think our defense can take it. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is I like our offense against this defense. Philly's defense has been awful lately. I know that they basically shelved Sean Desai and put in Matt Patricia, and that may change things. But that defense has been massively underperforming this year. They're one of the worst in the league. And they're actually a little bit worse than the Seahawks, which is crazy when you look at the players they have. They've got a phenomenal front line. Their linebackers are great. Their pass rush should be historic. And I know their secondary's had injuries, but their secondary still has a lot of talent. I know a lot of it's rookies, too. That's also part of the problem. But the Eagles' defense being that bad is pretty out of pocket. So I do think our offense should be able to do stuff on this defense. But should is the key word here because there's another big piece of news. We don't know if we're going to have Geno Smith. We don't know if we're going to have Geno Smith at quarterback. If he does play, what's he going to be able to do? Will he be able to move? Will his ability to throw be affected? I don't know. I get the sense that he's going to play, but I don't know if that's even necessarily what we want because, I mean, if he's not 100%, the margins with a guy like a Geno Smith are very thin. He's not he's not somebody like a Joe Burrow who can lose a little bit and still be a really good quarterback. He needs what he has. Like the margins between Geno Smith and a below average quarterback are kind of thin, just like all margins are. But Geno, at his best, is a good quarterback. So he needs all of it in order to continue to actually be good. So I'm concerned about that. And if Drew Lock is out there, even though Drew Lock, I know he's got an NFL arm, I'm grateful he's here as a backup. I don't have a problem with him being here. I don't think that Drew Lock is the answer here because he's just going to turn it over too much, and that's what we cannot have. So to me, I need to see what we have at quarterback before I feel good or bad about this game, really, because if we have Geno and he's healthy, I think we're going to score. I think we're going to put up points. I think we'll be able to take advantage of that secondary that is missing Darius Slay. They're missing Zach Cunningham. Might be able to run the ball to the boundaries a little bit. We've got two healthy running backs now. So I think that there's some stuff we can do on offense if healthy. But if Geno tries to play with a bad groin or Geno's not playing and Drew Lock's in there, I don't think it's going to be enough. Like this offense is going to have to play the way they did against Dallas. Like the offense was almost perfect against Dallas until the last, what was it, like 7-8 minutes? And that wasn't enough because the defense was that awful in that game. The defense was historically bad. So we're going to need something like that again just to have a shot. And that's just because Philly isn't playing very well lately because I think their quarterback is all messed up. But assuming they get either good play out of Jalen Hurts or they get stable play from Marcus Mariota, I think we're going to need at least 30 points to win this game, and I hope we play accordingly. I hope we understand that we're not going to win this game by playing field position and punting a lot unless we see that Hurts just can't hack it. So my hope, me trying to be optimistic here is Geno Smith plays the way he did against the Cowboys. DK Metcalf plays the way he usually does when he plays the Eagles. I know they don't have Darius Slay, but, you can slice it however you want to slice it. You can say that DK Metcalf owns Darius Slay, or you can say DK Metcalf owns the Eagles. However you want to put it. He's certainly capable of going off and having a big game against Philadelphia. So, offensive line, it's not going to get too much healthier than it is right now, right? Like, I know we got some guys playing through injuries. I have no doubt about that. Evan Brown's been dealing with stuff all year. Bradford's been dealing with stuff. Lucas is never going to stop dealing with stuff, probably. But this is about as healthy as the offensive line is going to be. So that's the matchup. That's just talking about like what's going on here in terms of the matchup between the Eagles and Seahawks. Should be a shootout, but we need our quarterback to make it a shootout. Philly needs a quarterback to make it a shootout. I don't know if it's actually going to be that shootout because they need a good quarterback play and we need our quarterback who is actually good. Assuming that, I can see the seeds of an upset here. There's some stuff going on here in Philadelphia that is genuinely not good. It's not a bad matchup for the Seahawks. And if I believe that everything was kosher with Seattle right now, and we just had a lot to feel good about, and I believe the team was at least mentally engaged, then I would probably sit here and say, yeah, I think the Seahawks are going to get this done. This smells like an upset. This has upset all over it. But I can't do it. I can't do it because I don't believe in this defense to do anything right now because I think they are that inept. And more importantly, I made a whole video about that KJ Wright interview where he talked about the state of the team. And KJ Wright, unlike me, actually has some inside information because I know he communicates with those players still. He knows more than pretty much anybody who's on the outside of that locker room. And what he said on, what was it, I think Monday, after the 49ers game, told the story of a team that is in complete disarray. Players not listening to coaches, players not standing up for one another, no leadership, etc., etc. So, there. How can I pick this team to win against a good team if that's going on? KJ Wright is telling me that things stink. So if things stink like that, there's no way you're going to win a nationally televised game against the Eagles when they're trying to fix their season. They are on a 2-game losing streak. They need this very badly to stay connected with Dallas in the race for the division. I think they stay ahead of them now with by a game because Dallas lost yesterday. But I just can't pick them to win if the team really is that discombobulated. So I'm going to go with 30-23. Keeping in mind that I do think we'll score more if Geno is healthy. I do think we'll score more if Geno is able to play well. But I still don't think we're going to win because I think the Seahawks defense is that bad. I think this defense is inept. So if we score more, they'll score more. If we get to 30 points, they'll get to 33. If we get to 37, they'll get to 40. I really think that's where we are right now with this defense, and they have to prove me wrong. And partially it is because you don't have your best player in Witherspoon, but it's also because you're just bad. I mean, you were that bad against Dallas with Witherspoon. You were that bad earlier this season in some games. All right. So I'm going to go with 30-23, but I am definitely aware that there's a lot of flexibility here for a result because we don't know what's going on with either quarterback. And as we hear more about the Hurt situation, hear more about the Geno situation, maybe hear a little bit about the Witherspoon stuff, or Jamal Adams, I guess, is questionable as well. We'll say different things. I'll come on here and say what needs to be said. But as of right now, my suspicion is that the defense just is going to give up whatever it takes to make sure we lose. Prove me wrong, guys. Prove me wrong. I want to be proven wrong very badly. I want to see a defense that at least looks like an NFL defense tonight. All right. See you guys later. There will probably be at least one more video before the game kicks off. And then I am going to watch the game. We'll do our post-game video, post-game stream. You know the drill. See you guys later. Go Hawks. This is it. You want to actually make this season something successful? This is kind of your last chance. All right? You beat the Titans in their current state. Nobody's going to care about that. You beat the Steelers with the way the Steelers are playing lately? No, nothing. That's not changing anybody's mind. You beat the Cardinals? Not doing anything. But you beat the Eagles. Okay, we're listening. See you guys later.